Inch by excruciating inch, Guillermo de Anda, an archaeologist from Mexico's National Institute of Anthropology and History, INAH, drags himself face down through a dark, dank subterranean tunnel. It's little more than 1 foot high. Hours later, he emerges into a chamber filled with ancient Maya relics. And the discovery reduces him to tears. Archaeologists open the cave of the Jaguar god and inside lay a treasure trove of Maya relics. In fact, the cryptic cave system explored by de Anda might soon transform our understanding of Maya civilization, its mysterious rise and fall, and more specifically, its ritual use of caves and other underground spaces. Thought to be up to a millennium old, the artifacts he found are priceless. At an INAH press conference in Mexico City in March 2019 that National Geographic reported on, de Anda described his reaction to the discovery. "I couldn't speak, I started to cry," he said. "I've analyzed human remains in Chichen Itza's sacred Senate, but nothing compares to the sensation I had entering, alone, for the first time in that cave. You almost feel the presence of the Maya who deposited these things in there." In fact, Maya civilization once dominated 1/3 of the geographic area of Mesoamerica, a culturally dynamic region that corresponds to central and southern Mexico and Central America, as far as the north of Costa Rica. Maya civilization wasn't homogeneous, though. Instead, it consisted of a network of city-states with shifting allegiances, much like classical Greece. The achievements of the Maya included the most advanced manner of writing seen in pre-Hispanic America and a body of astronomical knowledge so sophisticated that it correctly predicted the occurrence of eclipses centuries in advance. With a conceptual understanding of zero, their mathematics were more complex than that practiced by the ancient Greeks or Romans. And their calendar conceived of time on an epochal scale of tens of millions of years. The objects discovered by de Anda and his colleagues appear to date to the terminal classic or early post-classic period of Maya history. Starting in 2000 BC, Maya civilization evolved gradually for more than 2 millennia. Then, in the 4th century AD, it entered a period of high culture and urbanism, known as the Classic Era. This lasted until the 9th century AD, the start of the terminal classic period when Maya civilization mysteriously declined. The political breakdown of classic Maya civilization appears to have been accompanied by a northward shift in populations, specifically towards the Yucatan Peninsula. Essentially the remnants of a vast prehistoric coral reef, the Yucatan Peninsula is a large flat limestone shelf at the southeast tip of Mexico. On one side lies the Caribbean Sea, on the other the Gulf of Mexico. Of course, under the corrosive action of rainwater and naturally forming acidic solutions, limestone has a propensity to form spectacular cave systems. From Egypt to Babylon, great civilizations tend to rise on the banks of great rivers. But in the Yucatan Peninsula, a sprawling, subterranean network of caves and sinkholes known as cenotes supplied the water resources for Maya cultural fluorescence. In the dry north of the Yucatan Peninsula, the decline of Classic-era Maya marked the ascendance of the city of Chichen Itza, a regional powerhouse until its decline in the early post-classic period, 900-1200 AD. Chichen Itza was in fact a vast settlement with a profusion of ornate temples, pyramids, and palaces, including what is believed to be an astronomical observatory oriented towards Venus. The most famous structure at the site is El Castillo, a square-based pyramid dedicated to Kukulkan, the widely revered feathered serpent deity known as Quetzalcoatl to the Aztecs. And on the equinoxes, the play of sunlight on the pyramid's northern staircase creates the illusion of a giant writhing snake. This remarkable site continues to draw large crowds to this day too. The cave system that de Anda explored is actually located a little under 2 miles from El Castillo. Known as the Cave of Balamku, which translates as Jaguar God in Yucatec Maya, it lies approximately 80 feet underground. Yet although the jaguar has special importance in Maya religion and iconography, the name of the cave appears to be a relatively modern assignation. Its true historical title therefore remains unclear. Still, a causeway known as a sac, meaning white road in Yucatec Maya, connects the cave to Chichen Itza. This indicates the cave's high standing among the city's inhabitants. Sacbiob, as they are known in plural form, weren't merely designed for transportation, you see. These white roads actually had deep mythological, ritual, religious and political significance as well. So in 2018 de Anda was exploring the cave system under Chichen Itza as part of his work for the Great Maya Aquifer Project, GAM. Partly funded by a National Geographic Society grant, GAM is a multidisciplinary project that aims to chart, comprehend and conserve the region's aquifer. And de Anda is one of its co-directors. Of course, caves always had immense symbolic significance to the Maya, as Holy Moyes, an archaeologist from the University of California, explained to National Geographic in March 2019. For the ancient Maya, caves and cenotes were considered openings to the underworld, she said. They represent some of the most sacred spaces. They are fundamental, hugely important, to the Maya experience. Cenotes certainly seem to have played an important role in the culture of Chichen Itza, the name of which is generally deemed to translate as at the mouth of the well of the Itza. The Itza, you see, were an ethnic group who ruled the city. Yet some theorists have suggested that the word means water wizards. In any case, the site itself is home to several large cenotes, both above and below its urban layout. But de Anda actually became aware of Balamku through Luis Un, a 68-year-old Maya local. Un knew about the cave because he had apparently ventured inside it 50 years earlier as part of a pioneering archaeological team. The elderly man would have been in his teens at the time, but the experience evidently made an impression on him. It turns out that archaeologist Victor Segovia Pinto had indeed led a team to the site in 1966. However, the expert's initial exploration appears to have been cursory. After a quick check of the cenote's contents, in fact, Segovia had seemingly ordered the cave sealed with rocks. And although the archaeologist had subsequently written a report for INAH, there were no follow-up studies. Why Segovia had ordered the cave sealed remains a mystery. But James Brady, who's an anthropology professor at California State University and a co-director of GAM, thinks that the archaeologist might have been overstretched. He may have already been committed to other projects and knew that he did not have the time or resources to do it, Brady told the science and technology website Motherboard in 2019. After de Anda had the cave unsealed, then, he proceeded to crawl on his belly through a network of constricted tunnels. And hundreds of feet and several hours later, he arrived in a chamber containing ritual offerings. It also transpired that this was just one of 7 such chambers. Yes, Balamku turned out to be one of the most important archaeological discoveries in the region for a generation. Filled with stalactites and stalagmites, the chambers, which apparently served as shrines, contained hundreds of pristine objects. These included stones for grinding corn, ceramic plates and figurines of the Jaguar god Balamku, from which the cave now takes its name. Additionally, the team located some intriguing forensic evidence, such as charred offerings and shards of bones. Speaking to National Geographic, de Anda explained that it was unprecedented to stumble upon so many artifacts in one place. In 1959, for example, archaeologists had explored the nearby cave of Balamku and recovered only 70 items. Balamku appears to be the mother of Balamku, de Anda said. When you see that there are many offerings in a cave that is also much more difficult to access, this tells us something. The find was therefore most unexpected. Moreover, according to de Anda, the artifacts are in an extraordinary state of preservation. This is particularly exciting because centuries of looting has meant that much of Mexico's archaeological heritage has reportedly found its way to the black market rather than into museums or universities. So, with any luck, the discovery will help to answer some of the big unsolved mysteries of Maya civilization. For example, archaeologists are still unsure about the degree of trade and cultural exchange between Maya cities and other Mesoamerican sites. Perhaps most importantly, though, no one really knows for sure why Chichen Itza fell into decline or how it was founded. Balamku can tell us not only the moment of collapse of Chichen Itza, de Anda told National Geographic. It can also probably tell us the moment of its beginning. Now, we have a sealed context with a great quantity of information, including usable organic matter, that we can use to understand the development of the city. Many of the artifacts are also adorned with Mesoamerican motifs such as the ceiba tree, a symbol of the universe known to the Yucatec Maya as Yaxch, green tree. Intriguingly, more than 150 ceramic items additionally bear the distinctive face of a rain god known as Tlaloc. Yet unlike Chalk, who's a Maya rain god, Tlaloc was principally worshipped by the Toltecs and other Nahuatl-speaking people of central Mexico. Chichen Itza itself also appears to incorporate architectural techniques from the same region. For many years, though, Mayanists believed that this was the result of an exodus or a conquest. But theorists now think that Chichen Itza might simply have been highly multicultural. The cave of Balamku might also help to confirm a popular theory that a series of droughts caused the decline of lowland Maya culture. The Yucatan Peninsula has always experienced a high degree of climate volatility, after all. And there is a school of thought that massive deforestation could have contributed to drought conditions as well. This may also explain the large number of ritual offerings to the rain god Tlaloc that have been found. If, you see, the inhabitants of Chichen Itza were indeed suffering the impacts of a drought, it's likely that they would have sought to rectify the crisis by petitioning the appropriate deities. Consistent with other religions in the Mesoamerican region, in fact, Maya beliefs were predicated on the idea of an unseen otherworld of supernatural entities. Their pantheon was also made up of dozens of idiosyncratic deities. Like most other animistic religions of the antiquities, Maya religion held as its prime objective the need to control the forces of nature upon which agriculture and by extension civilization as a whole depend. To petition the gods, then, the Maya routinely made offerings. The rules governing the offerings' contents were precise and complicated, but they often included food, drink, incense or cigars. And these might be placed at a shrine, in a temple, in a tomb or underneath a building. The most potent offering, however, was life itself, meaning that animal and human sacrifice were part of Maya culture. Of course, a complete forensic analysis of the seeds, bones, food and other fragmentary remains in the cave of Balamku should offer other useful insights. This evidence specifically ought to indicate the types of rituals practiced there. Such an analysis should also help archaeologists to date the artifacts more precisely. Meanwhile, according to Frederick Hebert, an archaeological consultant for National Geographic, the cave of Balamku might offer further insights regarding the sustainable use of resources. By studying these caves and cenotes, it's possible to learn some lessons for how to best use the environment today in terms of sustainability for the future, he told the magazine in 2019. After all, research strongly suggests that humanity's current ecological footprint, that is, the measure of human impact on the environment in terms of demand and supply, is not sustainable. If everyone on the planet consumed at the same rate that American citizens do on average, for example, we would require 4 Earths to supply our needs. In that respect, de Anda thinks archaeology can have practical applications. It's always been a beautiful and interesting field of science, but without a great deal of utility, he said. I think that here, we will be able to demonstrate the contrary. Because when we begin to understand these marvelous contexts, we can understand the footprints of humankind's past during one of the most dramatic moments in history. But while de Anda and his team are yet to excavate the caves properly, they have at least completed an initial survey of its artifacts. The experts think that more items, possibly dating back further than 1,000 years, might also be hidden within layers of sediment. However, the team are proceeding slowly, primarily because their aim is to establish new benchmarks for the archaeological exploration of Mexican caves. Speaking to Motherboard in 2019, James Brady explained that the site presented unique prospects for research. We've never had an opportunity quite like this where everything is really intact and guarded, and it's not a salvage operation, he said. So, we want to go slowly and make this a model cave project. In fact, cave archaeology in the Yucatan Peninsula is a relatively young field of study. Prior to the 1980s, you see, researchers were largely focused on the so-called monumental structures there. Cave systems were therefore mapped without the aid of 21st century technology, and the physical residues on artifacts were simply cleaned off instead of being properly examined. Specifically, then, researchers from the Great Maya Aquifer Project see the Cave of Balamku as an opportunity to utilize innovative new technologies. And, as an interdisciplinary project, the GMA also intend to consult with specialists from other fields. So their approach appears to constitute a promising new form of cave archaeology. One of the team's initial goals is to make a 3D map of the cave system, for example. 3D surface scanning is actually now being used by archaeologists around the planet for a range of purposes. The finished product should therefore offer researchers a complete virtual reality rendition of the cave of Balamku. Ultimately, then, de Anda and his team intend to search beneath the water table, where an uncharted warren of limestone tunnels might stretch for many miles, eventually linking with other cave systems. "It's never over until you come to the last dead end," said Brady to Motherboard. And we're not there yet. So there's still much to learn about Maya civilization and so much to explore. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.